Next, Diptyka Laurent joins me on set. Take a look at what's been grabbing headlines across the world in the press. And a week after the Brexit vote, Britain's facing a battle of leaderships on both sides of the political spectrum.
That's right, Thomas. Britain is more than ever divided, and it's really illustrated on The Guardian's front page this Thursday, which discusses these various leadership battles, both within the Labour Party, but also within the Conservatives. Now, the British newspaper, The Independent, is reporting that Jeremy Corbyn is ignoring numerous calls for him to step down, but he's now facing a challenger. Her name is Angela Eagle. That's her on the right of the screen there, and she is a former shadow business secretary, and apparently she has enough votes now to launch a bid. Also launching her candidacy, but this time for the Tories, is Home Secretary Theresa May, who's made her announcement in the Times this morning in a column in the Times where she says, "We can make Britain work for everyone." She evokes her qualities as Home Secretary and promises that under her leadership, the Conservative Party will, quote, "put itself at the service of ordinary working people and strive to make Britain a country that works for everyone." Now, her announcement to run means that she'll be squaring off against Boris Johnson, the former mayor of London. Bookies have put the odds on Boris Johnson to take away the leadership, but early polls indicate that Theresa May have more support from the party.
But the Independent newspaper is suggesting that Boris Johnson's future leadership has been put under a shadow of doubt over a leaked email.
It's a bit of a scandal, really. Basically, that leaked email came from the wife of Michael Gove, who, of course, was a key figure in the Leave campaign. His wife, whose name is Sarah Vine, she's a columnist for the Daily Mail. And she basically wrote an email to her husband, but mistakenly sent it to a member of the public, who in turn sent it to the broadcaster Sky. And in this email, Gove's wife says to her husband that he should only back Boris Johnson if the candidate gives him specific assurances, notably that he'll be the key running mate for Boris Johnson. Without this assurance, Michael Gove should not give Boris Johnson that support. And that really indicates that there is some sort of mistrust about Boris Johnson and his candidacy.
Okay, the other big story this Thursday is the aftermath of Tuesday's airport attack in Istanbul.
As has been the case with previous attacks in Brussels and Paris, some of the most notable sort of reactions are from the cartoonists. This one's from Al Watan, a Saudi Arabian paper. It's really evocative. Basically, you see here this Turkish man who's being stabbed in the back, presumably by a jihadist. And I guess the man's supposed to represent the airport with the plane taking off. It's very evocative because I think it really draws to the cowardice of Tuesday's attacks and the sort of anger that's being felt worldwide, but especially in Turkey.
As you say, those attacks are also making front page news in Turkey.
That's right. Let's start with Hurriyet Daily News. This headline, there's a picture of the daily sort of deadly aftermath from Tuesday's attack. And what's interesting to note is that in the Hurriyet, there has been no claim of responsibility, but Turkish papers, especially the Hurriyet, are assuming that the Islamic State group were behind the attack. Now, the Turkish daily Sabah has sort of gone with a more tabloid-style front page, saying, "Thanks to our friends," and they evoked the numerous messages from world leaders and celebrities after the Istanbul airport attacks, like Madonna and Barack Obama, who paid their respects after Tuesday.
But there's also a lot being said about Turkey's complicity with the Islamic State group.
That's right. According to this opinion piece from the Wall Street Journal, the Istanbul attacks, as we mentioned, there has not been a claim of responsibility as yet, but the style of the attack seems to bear the hallmarks of an Islamic State group style attack, especially as we saw what happened in Brussels. Now, the author of this Wall Street Journal article blames President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, saying the government, quote, bears responsibility for allowing the Islamic State group to gain strength. And there is a lot of questions about how complicit the Turkish government were in allowing the Islamic State group to sort of breed. Now, on the flip side, the Daily Sabah, which is a Turkish daily newspaper that tends to be more pro-government, they take a completely different viewpoint. The paper has published a scathing editorial in which it encourages the government to continue its rapprochement with Israel and Russia, especially in light of the attacks. It also says that Turkey needs support from the West, but, quote, failing that, Turkey has no choice but to rely on prominent players in the neighborhood, even if this means renewing relationships with former enemies.
Okay, Diptyka Laurent, thank you very much for that spin through the international press this hour. We're going to take a very